So picked one of these up in my travels. Actually, two. I also had an older model a few months back. Not interchangeable, different dimensions. The older ones are thinner. Anyway. So this is a French Sidna 22 Mark III. To take down 22 semi-automatic. Takes 10 round detachable magazines. These can be made from Lakefield Mark IIIs, I believe. You just need to cut that in there, and it's only maybe a millimeter. It's pretty thin. Then you just slide it, and if you ever needed to, you can slide this plate off to service it, and then follow that spring. It is a takedown. It is done with this lever right here. So you flick that, slide it off. This is the groove that it locks in. This just turns a half moon. In and out. Sights have a 1 to 600 or 1 to 6 mark. Barrel markings Sidna 22 long rifle auto. BLE France. ETRANOER. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Some numbers, they're right here. Then Model 22 Mark III. Front sight hood has a, let's see if I can, probably not going to focus, but it's a very nice sight picture on this gun. It does have a threaded muzzle because Europeans are allowed suppressors. So underneath the wood there isn't anything. It's just straight up wood. Just loosen that a little bit. I'm going to use the electric screwdriver for this, dealing with some carpal tunnel issues in the hands. It just takes some of the strain off. And these little Mastercraft electric screwdrivers only go to 30 foot-pounds. It comes off. There's no sleeves or nothing for the screws. Just straight piece of wood. That's what the screws were. You can see there's a mill here in the back of the barrel. That lines up the lug on the front of the receiver, right here. So when that's in there, that just keeps everything aligned. So, in theory, if you didn't want them on like your stock, if you wanted to cut it a little shorter, you could, and it's not really going to mess with anything. I personally wouldn't. To each their own. As I tell people, when it's no longer my property, you can do what you want with it. It's just a little more on the delicate side. That's the barrel and all that. So you might notice the trigger here's got a separation on it. It's like that when I got it. It allows you to see the back of the safety, where it's just a drum where it just blocks the trigger. So from there to nothing. Pull the receiver out, we just pull this screw. And this screw. Safety in that position, and the whole thing comes out. Fairly straightforward. There's nothing under the butt plate. It's just straight wood. The older one did have a lightning cut inside that you could, in theory, put an oil bottle or something in, but no quick access through the butt plate. And it does say Sidna right here. So the receiver, fairly straightforward. Let's see, let's zoom in this in a little bit. Okay. There's a button here in the back. Simply press that. Off it pops. This here is all steel. You can see where the notches are to, see if I get that line there. So this one here would lock the bolt closed. That one locks it open. I'm going to back this out. That one allows you to lock it in the open position. Pull the bolt out, flick it up, pull it out, nothing left with that. If you want to pull the knob out, there's a little screw right here. And then to pull the springs and all in the this ejector pin out, pull this plate off pull the screw out, this plate comes off, the guide rods and spring and all that stuff falls it back. It's very AR-180 in this regard. A little different, but the vibes it gives me, and it does have a claw extractor for positive extraction, which is very nice. For the receiver itself, this here is all pretty well aluminium or aluminum or however the hell you want to pronounce it. Try to find a magnet here right quick just to demonstrate. This upper assembly is steel, or sorry, this pin's steel, and the rest of it is aluminium or aluminum, except for like the pins or these pieces here. Other than that functionality, pull the trigger, that's your sear. Screw goes through, keeps that and its bias or plunger in place. This pin here is for the trigger. Safety is held in with a little screw at the back right here. That'll just allow, there's a little spring in behind, then the whole thing just slides out. The takedown assembly here is held in with 2 pins, slide out, and then you can, spring comes with it and you can push all out. There's a pressure pin here, at least that's what I'm going to call it, that presses into this notch here in the receiver, or the upper receiver. Keeps that all in place. The only real part to disassemble in this, if I want to show it, is your magazine retainer and whatever the hell you want to call this, magazine latch, which has this tit on the top. Now I've seen them, the older one didn't even have a provision for this, but it doesn't engage anything in the bolt. So that would be up in front like that. So I'm not entirely sure the whole point of this outside of a guide. If this is ever broken, this piece here is very similar to what you find on like Lakefields and Savages and that type of deal. Just want to have a spare parts bin. Very similar. You could cut this off here, cut it out with the Dremel or whatever tooling you might have, bend it a bit and put a notch in it, or you can cut this off and bend that straight into a hook to engage in the back of the notch of the magazine. Other than that, fairly straightforward. This lower receiver is very simple. Aluminium milled out, stuff bolted into it. Top of the receiver is a piece of billet steel that's been hollowed out and drilled and milled a little bit. I will say I'm very impressed by this design, and it looks complicated, but with once you got your jig set up, it'd be very easy to manufacture. This particular one is in the 17,000 serial range, so there should be quite a few of them out there. I personally just haven't seen very many. So goes in there. Now make sure that bolts forward, that locks in. Back in the receiver, or the stock, sorry. Screw 1, screw 2. Snap those up. Barrel goes back in. Cinch down. Beam locks in. There she is. Handling this thing, the sights are nice and tall. You don't have to force your face into the stock a lot. It's got a deep U notch in the back, and with that little bead of a front sight very marbles, bead-like. It makes for a very nice clean sight picture. These are 3/8 dovetails here and here. You could put rings on, but it'd be very long scope tube unless you put like a cant type of a mount, or you run something low powered like this. That'd be your other option. Something with standard bells, you're gonna have a problem fitting it, like especially a newer type of scope. Well, for example, we have a Nikon Monarch here. Get quite a gap, so you have to plan around it if you're drawing glass. Or like I said, you can get something without a bell. This, so that would mount forward of the threads, right up to here. You'd have plenty of room. All in all, I don't think you need it. Trigger pulls at 5 pounds even. It's so take up, stop, light pull through. Very smooth and easy. Might weigh around 6 pounds if I'm guessing. It's very light. It's a little. I have a Winchester 22s there that are lighter because they're like 4 pounds and they're polymer. This is very light, well balanced. Balance point's right in front of the magazine. But yeah, it's just something different. Figured take it apart, show y'all. Maybe somebody has one they weren't wanting to take it apart or unsure of something. Maybe this helps them out. Anyway, have yourselves a good one.